Guess I shouldn't do that. Okay, can somebody confirm that you can hear me? Somebody confirm you can hear me? Which one of these I take? Wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. It's not a 100-point project, a 75-point project. What is that? Okay, can somebody confirm you can hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, let's begin. Let me share my screen. My computer is going to be a bit slow because it's still processing the lecture. All right, today is February 5th, and today we're going to be discussing and starting the unknown project. Any questions about any of that? I think I'm going to close this down because my computer is overloaded at the moment. Let me shut this down too. Come on, there we go. So we're going to be working on the unknown project. In this project, normally students are given 2 bacteria and they select one and try to identify it. Now, in the online class, we can't obviously do any of that, but I am going to give you a number, and this number is going to represent a bacteria species. And throughout the rest of the term, you're going to be running different tests to try and identify this species of bacteria that your number is representing. So everything you do will be done online. I'll send you a number, and you already have the table listing the different bacteria species. Let me go ahead and show you that now. Oh, good. The lecture Zoom meeting just finalized. So now my computer will start working better. I'm going to show it here, but we'll show you where it is in the Canvas website. Why do I have that there? So on our Canvas webpage, if you scroll down to about week 5 lab, we have the unknown report. This is a sample journal, what your report will look like. There's the unknown instructions. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. A I'll talk a little bit about that. If you hit this link here, this is the unknown list. And I won't show it here because it's not gonna show very well, but I'll show it here. The different species are on the left here. And there's about 40 of them, a little less. Actually, there's only about 23, 22 of them. And so the number will be one of these species. And then all term long, you're going to be running these tests up here for the remainder of the test to try and identify your bacteria number. Any questions about any of that? So this table has the different species and then the different characteristics. And your goal is to try and figure out what species of bacteria you have at the end. For example, one of the, well, let me state that initially, when we first thought of this project for having it online, I did the numbers, and for one class, and I've got more than one lab, I've got, how many labs do I have? 3? So 20 students each. But if I only had one lab, I'm not going to try and figure out the numbers for 3 different classes. You just multiply by 3. We figured that there would be something like 6 or 7 communications between the student and the instructor for this project. And this is on average. Some students would be a little less than that, 6 or 7. Some students would be more. And I worked it out and said 6 or 7 times 20 is, I don't know, if we go 50 would be, times 20 would be 200 replies between the instructor and the student. And 200 replies for one student was just way too much for one project. And so I thought of a way to make this a little easier and got permission. And actually, they thought it was such a good idea, they did it too. And that is, if I give you the first 3 tests, that way I can send out in one email instead of sending out for one class, 20 students, would be 20 emails. I'd send out one email. And if I do it for 3, that would be times 60. So it'd be 60 different contacts between me and the students that would be reduced. So in one email, I'd be taking care of 60 different emails. And that would be actually for 3 classes, that would be one email. Well, actually, I'll have to do 3 emails because there's 3 different labs, but 3 emails and instead of 180 emails. The idea is that it tremendously reduces the number of contacts between each student and me, making this project more doable. Because one project, when there was, what would I say, 100 to 200 different contacts for each student was just too much. And so initially, I'm going to choose the first 3 tests that you're going to do. And then after that point, you are going to try and figure out which test to do, and then get your results, figure out what you might have, select another test, ask for that test, and then we will continue doing that. And that will be like 3 or 4 contacts after the first. And this makes this project more doable. Whereas before I said there was just too many contacts between me and the student. We were initially thinking of having an email communication, but you'll see how I have the communication set up. It's actually using a Canvas assignment. So you'll be in the assignment making the communication. You'll be uploading pages and I'll be putting in a comment. But initially, I'm going to have you do the gelatin test because it takes a week to run. And that's just an awful long time. So it's best to get this one out of the way. The gram stain, because this is really important for limiting your species possibilities. I keep losing the highlighter. And then I just decided to do the PR lactose. So initially, I'm going to send out the results to 3 different tests. You will be starting each test at a different time so that you'll be following dichotomous logic, even on my 3 tests that I'm going to send you. And what it is you'll start each of the tests at a different time, but then I will send the results on one day and you'll get the results to each of the 3 tests on one day to make it 1 email instead of 3. And what you will do is you will figure out what you have. Like, let's say you have a gram negative cell. Maybe I can do it from here. Nope, I can't. And let's say it's gelatin negative. It keeps losing my highlighter. I really hate that. So initially you're looking at the possible cells and it was all gram negative cells. And then you've narrowed it down to the gelatin negative cells. So that narrows it down to these highlighted cells. Excuse me. And then it's going to be PR lactose, AG. I'll talk about what that is, acid gas. You've now narrowed it down to 4 possibilities or 4 possible species. So you'll have to take a look. Did I get all of them? Yeah. You then take a look and decide on a test to dividing these 4 possible remaining species. And if you're lucky, you could try that test. You might be able to separate this one out from these 3. You could try this test. You might be able to separate these 2 out from those 2. You could also do this test. You could separate this one from these 3. And there's different tests you could run, just a few. There's another one we could separate 2 and 2. So you, after I get you the results, would then decide on which test to run and request that test. After the test incubates, I will then send you the results. And let's say you got AG. Now, let's say you did the urease test and it came up urease positive. You then narrowed it down to these 2 species. Any questions about how you're going to be doing this test, this project? And then you figure out a test to separate these 2 species. All right. So that's how this project will be run. You will be doing this online and you will be using you'll be doing everything in your unknown notes page. Let's go ahead and go and look at that. So this is the project you're going to do your unknown project in, meaning the assignment. These pages are used for your unknown project. Some students get confused by this project and never ask about it. So if you're confused, ask and ask early. After the first 1 or 2 emails from me, everything will be done in the unknown notes pages. You need to record in your unknown notes pages the results I send to you from the first test. I can go ahead and something's not working right with this. Oh, there it is, speed grader. There isn't anyone here, but it so just happens to be the first student here. But if she had put in the results I would get, what she'd do is she would have a link. It's usually up here or down here. Oh, here it is, the submit for me. Something doesn't look right here. Oh, there it is there. Let me just put this over here for this. You should put your results and your conclusions that I send to you. I send you the results, you have to make the conclusions. You should put that here and upload it. I've got a download button, but you will have an upload button. Let me see. Oh, here. You'll have the upload probably here. I've got the speed grader here. So put your results that I send to you and put your conclusions from those results. And then anything else you need in this project should be recorded here as well. And that way, everything in this project will be in one place. And then if you want to look it up or I want to look it up, we'll know where to find it. If you submit a test request by email, I'm not going to honor it. I'll tell you to put it in your unknown notes pages because I want everything to be put in one place. And what you will do is you would probably put your results that I send to you and upload it in a document. And at the end of the document, you'd put your conclusions to those results. And then the very end, you'll take a look at what your possible species are. Let me see if I still have that here. So let me remove that. And you'll figure out what your possible species might be, because this is what your results were. And then you decide to do, oh, I want to do the urease test. That way I can separate maybe these two from these two. And this isn't necessarily the best test, and I'll explain why in a minute. But so you request the urease test, and then you put that in your document on your unknown notes pages at the bottom of the document. So put your test requests at the bottom of the page. If you have it at the very top of the page, I will find it. If you have it at the bottom of the page, I will find it. If you put it in the middle of the page, I will not find it. Okay? I will look at these pages, the top and the bottom, about every day, certainly every other day. Generally, Monday through Thursday, I will probably be looking every day. On Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I will be looking every other day. I generally will not be looking at this project on Sunday. And that means if you turn in your test request late on Friday, and I've already looked at the page, I may not see it until Monday. So I'm just warning you, if you put in a test request late on Friday, you may not get me seeing that until on Monday, because I will not be working on this project on Sunday. Generally, I do work on it in either Friday or Saturday, but not both days.
So what day should the test be in?
I'm sorry?
So what day should the test be in? Are you looking, like, is it
You,
supposed to
whenever
be a
you request the
Wednesday?
test. Okay, you request the test, and then I will take that test request and I will incubate it. And then after the incubation time, I will send you the results. All right? And then you will submit another document with those test results. You will give your conclusions to the test results. And then you will look at that table again and figure out the next test to request. And at the bottom of that document, you will put your next test request. So this project is going to be using dichotomous logic. That means that you will be requesting one test at a time. I'll be sending you results one test at a time. You should put everything in a document that you submit to the unknown notes pages. Do not, where do I have that? Do not put things in the comments. The comments is where I will be putting in information to you, particularly your test results. If you put your comments in, I'm going to ask you to remove them and submit it, and then I will delete your comment. Okay, so I do not want you using the comment section. This is for me to use to get you information. For you to put in comments, just put it in your document someplace. Okay. Let's see, anything else I want to say about that? You can submit an unlimited number of documents in your unknown notes pages. And that's not obvious here, but I could show you another student's example, but I've got those graded. Maybe I can shut that down and remove a grade from someone and show you what it looks like. Let me stop sharing my screen. And I'll do that. Let's go back like a year ago or something. I think that was last year. Oh, that's even older. I'll take that one. I have to remove the student's grade. That's why I'm shutting this down. Oh, well, she doesn't have anything, so it won't work. Trying to look for a good one, and I'm having a hard time. I must have picked a bad term. Share my screen. I removed the grade, so now if I share it, the grade won't be showing. So this is a student, and she has 4 different documents she has submitted. It looks like this student added them on top of each other so the last page has all the information, and that's one way to do it. This is an easy way to get, come on, let's go down. I wish that would get out of here. Yeah, move it over there for the time being. So this is what she submitted on, or he submitted on 7/27. Got the bacteria cells, streaked them out. Unknown number 63. Here's the first test results. There's the gram stain. There's the gelatin hydrolysis test. And there's the PR lactose. And they stated what they have for the results. And so there's the conclusion, no evidence of fermentation. And for the gelatin, let's see what that is. The gelatin remains a liquid, so it's gelatin hydrolysis positive. They didn't state that. Oh, there it is right there. And then they wanted to do the next test, and this student wanted to do the oxidase test next, and they requested it on 8/4. I'm not sure why. They put the results here on 8/11. It's an awful long time for that test. Oh yeah, see, she requested it on 8/4, and I sent the results on 8/5. The student didn't get back until 8/11 for putting up the results of the oxidase test. And that's fine, you don't need to do it right away. And they have the results there, and they said the conclusions, the results are negative for the oxidase test. And then they went on 8/17 and asked another test. They asked for the urease test. All right, any questions on how you're going to be doing this? When
So
you
is hers
do
complete
this,
right there?
I'm sorry?
Is hers complete right there? That whole paper, is that complete?
This is pretty much complete. There
So
is,
she only ended up having to do like 5 or 6 tests.
yes.
And then where's her answer?
The answer may not be here. Let me see if she's got it, because this is the unknown notes page. All right, this student did put the results here, and she's got, it's confirmed my unknown bacteria is Proteus vulgaris. Got to misspell, but Proteus vulgaris, there it is right there. Okay. One good reason for putting everything together, meaning you don't need to do it this way, she could have done submitted the first paper, which is the top of this page. And what she has here is the information on 7/27 and 8/1 and 8/4 as well. And she has another document she submitted on 8/11, which is the information only on 8/11 is added. Oh, there it is on the oxidase test. And then she has her test request down here. She could have done it that way. You can do it that way too. One advantage of doing it where you have all the information together is when you're doing your unknown report, you can just take all of this information, copy it into your unknown report, and then add to your unknown report. Does that make sense? You want to do that if you're writing the unknown notes page formally. if you're writing the unknown notes page informally, it will not work well to copy and then put it into your unknown report. But if you do it formally, write your unknown notes page formally, and then you link all your pages together, you can just copy this and then put it into your unknown report, and then add to the unknown report, and then submit your unknown report.
Can you show us her final?
No, I'm not going to do that because that's graded. I do have an example you can see, and that's the sample journal. Let's see where I got it. I got too many pages open now. Let me see. And so that's probably good. This is probably from the one, yeah, 222. Let me shut that down. And this is probably from, yeah, it's the wrong class. Let me shut that one down. We don't have it open anymore, but let me go to it. The sample journal will be a what your project, your report will look something like. You will need to make a sample, I'm not a sample, you'll need to make an unknown report as well as your unknown notes. You'll only initially be writing in your unknown notes page, but at the end of the project, you'll need to write up the unknown report. And this won't show it well, so let's get out of here and see if I've got it here. I'm not seeing it here. All right, I'm gonna have to take it from the canvas because I'm not seeing it there. What I can do is maybe download it. And then it'll show better. For some reason, this is taking a long time to open. Oh, there it is there, never mind. So there's the unknown number by Travis Kubota. And initially, this student, or actually this is an instructor, streaked out the unknown species, and they were given 2 species to begin with. If you were in the lab, we would have you do this. However, in the online class, we will just send you one number, which will represent one unknown species. And you can pretend to streak it out to get a pure culture, and then take from that isolated colony and streak it out again, and pretend to set up a stock culture from cells that have gone through 2 colony formation events. So you should go through that pretend but obviously we're not going to send you plates and bacteria for you to streak it out. And this instructor is written through the procedure here. That's why it's colony B. There's colony B and colony A, which I pulled out colony A in this report. And then he comes along and he gives his first test result, the gram stain. And you can see it's gram positive here. And where do I have that? So on this day, he has his observations from things he did previously. He set up the stock cultures, and then the activities he did for the day, the gram stain. And then he's got, that should be moved down actually. It appears to be gram negative as conclusion. So that should be down here. Oh, crud. Now I lost where I was. Let's put a section called conclusions. So on each day, generally you should break up your day by the activities you're doing on that day, the observations you're making on that day, and the conclusions for the test. Now, usually when you ask for a test, that will be the activities you're doing, and then the test will incubate, and so you will not get the results on the day you're doing the test, the activities. And that's why this instructor has it observations, activities, and then conclusions. The conclusions will be on the results, which will be your observations. Okay, so the order you have these isn't terribly important. The instructor did it this way because generally they'll be setting up a test, but they will not get the results on this day. They will get the results probably on their next day or the next 2 days. And then they give the results, which will be the observations. And you know something? This is actually a result here. So let me go results. Because that's the result there. That's not an activity. And then your conclusions. Now on this day, he set up a test maybe. Actually, I don't think he did. Yeah, he just refrigerated his stock. So there's no observations from a previous test, and he's going to run the catalase test. This test, you will get the results on the same day you request it, or you can, especially in the lab, if you actually go into the lab. And so he ran the catalase test, and he got results and conclusions. Okay, and red, he's talking about, he's showing you what he's thinking. Anyways, you don't have to have the red here, but you should have all of the black. And like I said, generally on each day you have your observations on that day, which are your results, the conclusions for your observations, and then the activities. Oftentimes the activities will not be the results for this day because you will not get the results for most tests 2 days, some tests 5 days, and then one test you won't get the results for 7 days later. Okay, there are a few tests which you can get the results on the same day you ask for the test. Generally, though, because we're doing this online, you'll be asking for a test on one day. You'll likely get the results the next day. Even though if you did it in the lab, you'd get the results during that same day. Anyways, this is a sample of what your lab report should look like. You should look at this before you write the lab report. At the moment, you don't need to worry about the lab report because you won't turn that in until this project is due. Now, let me talk about when this project is due. I've already shut down the syllabus, but I should have it. Here someplace. Let me close that one down. So this project is going to be due March 9th. The unknown notes page is going to close March 8th. So the unknown notes page will close on Friday. The unknown report will be probably due March 9th. Let's come down here. I got to open these now. Yeah, well, no, that's the wrong one. There it is. The unknown report is due March 9th. It's a 75-point project. The unknown notes page is worth 5 points. So this will count like one of your lab grades, the unknown notes page. For the unknown notes page, it tells you what you need to have submitted in it. You should put your results, your daily activities, meaning a test you request, and then put your conclusions for the results. You should put down the everything else about the project. The minimum would be the bacteria under consideration at this point in time. And everything should be recorded in a submission page. Make a document if you need to. You don't have to, but you can. Do not put it in a comment. All right. Any question about your unknown notes pages?
Will you send, you might have already answered this, so apologies if you have, but will you send us the images that we saw in those couple of examples, or how do we get that?
Yeah, I'll be sending you results, and that will be a picture. I will not interpret the results. The interpretation will be done by you, and that will be your conclusions.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's talk about the project at length, which I probably should have started with. This will be a 75-point project. It is a lab project. You're going to identify bacteria, and it's not really from a mixed culture because this is an online lab. You can read about that. You read about the rationale. The project format is you're going to be, this is not, this isn't an updated one. Let me take a look and see if I can find a more recent one. All right, you're going to receive virtually a broth culture containing a bacterial species. I have this file someplace on my computer, but I didn't find it, so I just downloaded it. Some species will be gram-positive and other species will be gram-negative. Everything's going to be done virtually, so you will isolate each species into a pure culture virtually. The process for this isolation is shown in figure A below. I'm not going to go through that, but you can see how you isolate it here. Once you have the pure culture, you then run a series of tests to determine the identity of the species in the culture. Descriptions of the tests and the media will be provided. You may use your lab, the lab book, which is the online Canvas page. You may use the your lecture textbook. You may use Bergey's manual and some lab manuals. Let me show you where some of those are. This is Canvas, week 5 lab unknown test. Let me open that up. Each of these is a test. That's actually 2 tests, which has a page describing it, and sometimes there's pictures in this page. So this is the bioesculin test. You'll need to look at this page when you want to request a test to find out how long it takes to incubate the test. Most of these tests take 2 days. A few of them take only 1 day, or you'll get the results the same day. Some tests require 5 days, and one test 7 days. Introduction about the test. The results of the test, positive and negative. The methods used for doing the test, you should read about that. And then the results. You'll need to look at the results when you're determining what your test results are and what your conclusions are. Any question about any of that? So you should look at these lab tests. But specifically, you only need to look at the test for a test you request. Like if you never request the bioesculin test, you don't need to look at that. Here's one I should talk about, and that is the cellular growth arrangement. Come on. Taking its time. There we go. The cellular growth arrangement cannot generally determine from the gram stain. This is because chains may be broken apart in the production of a smear and the gram stain, and because cells tend to be brought together from a solid culture and then form artificial clumps as they are deposited onto the slide, and the water evaporates from the slide and the bacteria air dry, making streptococci look like they are in clusters. Therefore, to assay for cellular growth arrangements, you have to use a special procedure called the cellular growth arrangement. Sorry, let me drink something. My throat's got a frog in it. The main arrangement of bacterial cells, single cells, diplos, pairs, staphylo clusters, strepto chains. Other arrangements are possible, such as Sarxinia, 8 cells, etc. What you do to get the cellular growth arrangement is you grow your cells in a broth stock culture, a liquid culture. You then take these cells from the broth culture, put it onto a slide, let it air dry, and then stain it, looking for the cellular growth arrangement. This says it's diplococci. Oops, that didn't work. Let me shrink that down now. That didn't work either. All right, I'm not able to blow that up. I'm able to get it smaller, but I can't blow it up. Let's try it. No, that's too big on the side. Let's try it there. No, that's not very visible. Anyways, there's some diplococci there, and there's a streptococci. The point is, to get the cellular growth arrangement, you have to do a test on it. You cannot get that from the gram stain. Any question about that? And one other thing I need to do is talk about the results in this table. And that is, you can find a key here for what things are. It's pretty obvious on a test: nitrate positive, meaning that it's positive for the nitrate test. Negative means it's the nitrate test doesn't work. There is no results. There's no change in the tube. The tube would be red with the nitrate positive result. So that's what positive, negative mean. What's the V mean? V means variable. The results could be variables. So sometimes in the urease test for Citrobacter fruendi, the urease test can be positive. Sometimes the urease test could be negative. So V means you have to record that as both positive and negative. And so if you wanted a positive result, obviously the V would be the ones you would do. So you'd select, let me select these. Let's do a different color. Unfortunately, maybe that'll ease it. I keep losing the selection. And then let me take that negative out. So for a positive, that V would be there. But then for the negative, the V would also be there. Is that clear to everyone? So if you're counting this as a negative, the V's are going to be there. No, that's not right. I've lost my... So dark you can't see now, but... So that's what you do with the V's. Any question about a V? The A means acid. You can look up on the test for what A means. AG means acid and gas. You can look up on the test for what that means. For these A parentheses G, it means most of them are acid and gas. For all of the tests that you request, you can treat this A parentheses G as AG. ND means not determined. This test is not run on these species. And so there are no results that we can give you. If on like this test, it's negative. So let's go yellow again. The variable has to be included, and so do the non-ND, the no data, have to be a possibility, considered a possibility. And then the negative will be a possibility. This is so painful the way this has become. It used to be you just select here and get it. If it would stay there, it wouldn't be so bad, but it's not staying. So the ND has to be treated like a variable. ND, no data. Let's see if there's anything else I need to talk about. Oh, the hemolysis, no data on the gram-negative cells, but on the gram-positive cells, we have negative, and then there's beta, and then there's alpha, and occasionally there's alpha or negative. In these alpha or negative, it means that the alpha is very weak, and sometimes it looks negative, and sometimes it looks alpha, and you just have to treat the alpha or negative as alpha or negative, both alpha and negative. I think that's it. Let me see if there's anything else. All right, so that's how you read this table. It does tell you on a few tests what to do. To make the gram stain from a broth, it's easier to transfer cells using a sterile loop. The cellular growth arrangement. Note in the gram from agar cultures, chains break apart and cells clump, looking like clusters. It is safer to use the arrangement only as a guide and not to eliminate any bacteria. If using it, you must grow your cells in a broth culture to prevent chains breaking and cell clumping, meaning do not get your cellular growth arrangement from the gram stain. Oh, here's something. The PR glucose, PR lactose, PR sucrose, PR mannitol, and PR inulin are in the Canvas webpage as PR carbohydrate because all of them are the same. The only difference is they're switching the sugar that is being fermented in the broth. And so you'll find it under the PR carbohydrate. Any question about any of that? All right, if not, let's move back to the project in general. The test should display dichotomous logic. This means you'll be requesting one test at a time and getting the results of one test at a time. If you do not use dichotomous logic, you will receive a penalty. Shotgun logic is where you use a whole bunch of tests, you request a whole bunch of tests at one time, and you'll get a whole bunch of results at one time. Dichotomous logic is where you do something like this. Let me close one of these down. Close that one down. Now open another page. Actually, what I should do is do paint instead of that. Where the heck my paint go? Oh, there it is. So you have all cells all species. And one thing you can do is the gram stain. And then you'll have gram positive. Maybe I can do it one way here. Positive cells and gram negative cells. Once you get your results here, let's cross out the gram negatives. Let's cross out the gram positive cells. And then you do another test. Let's say urease. Cross out the gram urease positive because your results are urease negative. And then you do another test. We're just going to go plus, minus. And this is following dichotomous logic. Did everyone see that? Dichotomous because the tree is always branching by two. And you're discontinuing one branch and following the other branch. Meaning you will be doing one test at a time if you're following dichotomous logic. Oh, shoot, I shut that down. If you don't do dichotomous logic, you'll receive a penalty. Daily lab notes. You should write your detailed lab notes in the unknown notes pages where you have your daily activities, any observations you make, and they may not be the same as what you're doing on that day. You may get those later. Your thoughts for the day, and then you should put your species under consideration. So document all your activities in your unknown notes pages, whether they give good or poor results. And then at the end of the report, you're going to turn in an unknown report. It'll be worth 75 points. The unknown notes page will be an additional 5 points. Please use 12-point font. If you notice, I've got glasses. If it's smaller than 12-point font, I'll have a hard time reading it. Do not double space in your lab report. You should put in your daily descriptions. So you should start each day with the daily note. Don't omit data to make your data look better. You may put in drawings, photos, and tables. That information is very helpful. It is not required. I will submit photographs to you of the test results. Drawings, photos, and tables must be completely labeled and discussed within the body of the report. Each report entry must begin with a date. A time is not needed. And if you're using the unknown notes pages, it'll automatically put in the date. You do not need to describe the step-by-step details for each test you run. For example, all you need to do is say, I ran the gram stain. I know what the steps of the gram stain are. You do not need to say, first I made a bacterial smear, then I allowed it to air dry, heat fixed it, and then I put on crystal violet for 1 minute, washed it off. You don't need to put any of that information. All you need to do is say, I ran the gram stain. You should use your words and thoughts that are your own. If ever you do not, you should put them in quotes and say where you got them from. Otherwise, it is plagiarism. Your report must include a table or a figure outlining the process you use to identify your unknown organism. An example is in the table on the next page. So here, the student had all the species and narrowed it down to the gram-positive species in the first test, which are these, and you may have different species, you have to look. Then they did the catalase test, narrowed it down to these 4 species, which was catalase positive. Then they did the PR mannitol, narrowed it down to these 3 species. Then did the PR glucose test. It was an acid, narrowed it down to these 2 species. And then did the citro test, which was positive, narrowing it down to this 1 species. So you must include a table or a figure outlining how you identified your unknown organism. If you do a test that doesn't help you identify the organism, you do not need to put it in the table. For example, let's say this person did PR glucose and it was the same species as the catalase positive. So that doesn't need to be in this table because it doesn't help them identify the species. Where was I? It's also required that you have a microorganism paragraph, 1 paragraph or 2, where you discuss the microorganism you identify and the diseases it causes, and then other things about it, like the modes of transmission, common sources you find it at, treatments possibly. This will require you to look up the information, so you will have to give at least 1 literature citation, meaning a reference for your microorganism paragraph. This paragraph only needs to be a paragraph or 2. Do not exceed 1 type page for the paragraph discussing your organism. The literature citation page can use any format, APA, MLA format you want to use. You must obviously have 1 reference for the paragraph though. Do not plagiarize. If I find that you've been plagiarized, you'll get a 0 on this project, and that would be 0 points out of 75. The grading criteria follows the grading sheet. You'll be graded on the completeness of the report, the logic of the test performed, organization, clarity, neatness. Everything should be written in your own words. There should be no team effort. And I've got a grading sheet here. You should look at the grading sheet before you write the unknown report or after you write it before you submit it. Let's go up. Let me shrink that down. Here's the unknown grading rubric. Actually, this might be a better way to get it. Yeah, that doesn't help. This isn't a good one. This is an old one because that's out of 100. Well, let me see if I can get it from here. I have the new one someplace, but I don't know where it is. So you'll get 10 points on the utilization of resources. Was excess media used or a relevant test performed? If none, you'll get 10 points. If there was one, you'll get 8 out of 10. If there's two, 6 out of 10. Was dichotomous logic used in selecting your test? Meaning dichotomous logic is used, you'll get 10 out of 10. If one test was in excess, meaning you ask for two tests at one time, you get 8 out of 10. Two tests in excess, you'll get 6 out of 10. Shotgun logic approach, you'll get 2 points out of 10. Were all relevant tests used? Meaning you asked for all the tests you needed to identify your species. No tests omitted, you get 10 out of 10. One test omitted, 8 out of 10. Were the correct species included at each step of the process? All species correct, you get 10 out of 10. One species is incorrect in the process, 8 out of 10. 2 to 3 species incorrect, 6 out of 10, etc. Over 5 incorrect species, or if you don't identify your species, you'll only get 2 out of 10. Completeness of the report, all information presented, 10 out of 10. One instance of missing information, 8 out of 10. Lots of missing information, 2 out of 10. Effective and clear communication, was the English, grammar, spelling, and punctuation good? Excellent, 15 out of 15. A few errors, but logic is understood, 13 out of 15. Some errors, but logic is still understood, 11 out of 15. Some errors, some are not understood, 7 out of 15. Reports hard to read, you'll get 1 out of 15. The species identification, you got the correct species, 10 out of 10. You got the incorrect species, but it's within the same group, 7 out of 10. Species is outside of group, but the gram stain is correct, you'll get 5 out of 10. If the gram stain is incorrect, you'll get 0 out of 10. Total of 75 points. Lastly, this is going through an example of dichotomous logic. If you have trouble understanding dichotomous logic, you can read through this and refer to the questions. You do not need to submit the answers to these questions. This is not part of the project. It is just information on the project. I think that's it. Is there any questions on this project? All right, if there's no further questions, I think I'm done. I will see you in the next lecture in lab. A reminder, if you have trouble with this project, make sure you email me and I'll try and get you started on the project. A lot of students, I think, don't bother viewing this recording, and that's probably why they have problems with this project. But if you forget about the project and you have trouble with it, just email me and I'll help you get started.